Long before World Wrestling Entertainment became the global giant we know today, professional wrestling was a very different kind of business. It was a local affair, a patchwork of regional companies spread across the United States. Each territory was like its own small kingdom, ruled by a promoter who controlled everything within their borders. These promoters worked together in a loose alliance, always respecting each other's boundaries. A wrestler who was a star in Florida, working for Championship Wrestling from Florida, would not suddenly appear on a show in Texas, which was the domain of the Von Erich family's world-class Championship Wrestling. This system kept the business stable and predictable, allowing local heroes to become legends in their hometowns. The territory system was built on a simple, effective model. Each promoter had their own television show that aired on local stations, usually on a Saturday morning or afternoon. This show was the primary way they promoted their upcoming live events, which were held in arenas and high school gyms throughout the week. The stories, or feuds, between wrestlers would unfold on television, building excitement and convincing fans to buy a ticket to see the conflict settled in person. The wrestlers themselves were traveling performers, moving from one territory to another every few years to keep their acts fresh. They were like carnival performers, part of a traveling show that brought excitement to one town before moving on to the next. This regional structure created a diverse and vibrant wrestling landscape. Each territory had its own unique flavor and style. In Memphis, Jerry the King Lawler reigned supreme with a brawling, story-driven style that captivated local audiences week after week. Down in the Carolinas, Jim Crockett Promotions featured technical masters like Ric Flair, whose flashy robes and arrogant personality defined the Nature Boy character for generations. In New York and the Northeast, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, run by Vince McMahon Sr., presented a more powerhouse, larger-than-life style of wrestling, with heroes like Bruno Sammartino holding the championship for years at a time. This was a world of distinct identities, where wrestling felt personal and deeply connected to its local community. Life for a wrestler in the territory days was a constant grind. They spent countless hours on the road, driving from town to town in their own cars, often sharing rides to save money. The pay was not always great, and the physical toll was immense. They had to protect the business's secrets, maintaining the illusion of real conflict, a concept known as kayfabe, at all times, both inside and outside the ring. If two wrestlers were feuding on television, they couldn't be seen traveling or socializing together in public. The system worked because everyone, from the promoters to the wrestlers to the fans, understood and respected the unwritten rules that govern this unique world of sports and entertainment. The unwritten rules of the territory system were about to be broken, and the man holding the sledgehammer was Vince McMahon Jr. In 1982, he purchased the Worldwide Wrestling Federation from his father, Vince McMahon Sr. The elder McMahon had been a traditional promoter, a respected member of the National Wrestling Alliance who believed in the regional system. His son, however, had a radically different vision. He didn't see wrestling as a collection of small, regional businesses. He saw it as a national and eventually global entertainment product. He wanted to take his company, which he soon renamed the World Wrestling Federation, and make it the one and only name in professional wrestling. Vince McMahon Jr.'s strategy was aggressive, and to the other promoters, ruthless. He began to run his WWF shows in their territories, directly competing with them for fans and arena dates. He also used the power of television in a new way. Instead of just airing his shows in his home base of the Northeast, he started syndicating his programming on television stations all across the country. Suddenly, fans in Georgia who were used to watching their local stars were seeing WWF's larger-than-life characters on their screens. McMahon was building a national brand, and he needed national stars to go with it. He started poaching the top talent from other territories, offering them more money and the promise of a bigger stage. One of the biggest stars McMahon lured away was a charismatic, muscle-bound wrestler from the American Wrestling Association named Hulk Hogan. Hogan had already gained some mainstream fame from his role in the movie Rocky III, and McMahon saw him as the perfect face for his new vision of wrestling. He wasn't just a wrestler, he was a superhero. McMahon built the entire company around Hogan, creating the Hulkamania phenomenon. Hogan told his Hulkamaniacs to train, say their prayers, and eat their vitamins, becoming a role model for a generation of young fans. He was the all-American hero who could overcome any villain, and his popularity was the engine that would drive the WWF's national expansion. This new approach completely shattered the old territory system. The other promoters couldn't compete with McMahon's financial power and national television reach. One by one, the historic territories that had defined wrestling for decades began to close down. McMahon bought up their video libraries, their television time slots, and their best wrestlers. Some promoters tried to fight back, but they were like small, independent stores trying to compete with the new Walmart that had just opened in town. The wrestling world was changing forever. The era of regional wrestling was over, and the age of a single dominant national promotion had begun, all thanks to the ambitious vision of Vince McMahon. To make his national vision a reality, Vince McMahon knew he needed to break wrestling out of its traditional bubble and into mainstream pop culture. He found the perfect vehicle for this in the form of the Rock and Wrestling Connection. In the mid-1980s, McMahon forged a partnership with the booming music television channel MTV. This collaboration brought wrestling to a whole new audience of teenagers and young adults. Pop music star Cyndi Lauper began appearing on WWF programming, managing wrestler Wendy Richter. In return, wrestling stars like Rowdy Roddy Piper, Captain Lou Albano, and Hulk Hogan appeared in her music videos, most famously in The Goonies Are Good Enough. This crossover was a stroke of genius, making the WWF seem cool, current, and exciting. The culmination of this new strategy was WrestleMania. Instead of just another big wrestling show, McMahon marketed the first WrestleMania in 1985 as the Super Bowl of wrestling. It was a massive gamble that could have bankrupted the company if it failed. Held at Madison Square Garden, the event featured a main event that perfectly captured the rock and wrestling spirit. Hulk Hogan teamed with television star Mr. T to face Rowdy Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. The event was broadcast nationally on closed-circuit television and the emerging technology of pay-per-view. It was a huge success, establishing WrestleMania as an annual pop culture spectacle and proving that McMahon's national entertainment model could work on a grand scale. With the success of WrestleMania, pay-per-view became a cornerstone of the WWF's business model. McMahon created a series of major annual events, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and Royal Rumble, that became known as the Big Four. Each event had a unique hook and was built up for weeks on the WWF's weekly television shows, like Saturday Night's Main Event, which aired on the national network NBC. These shows provided episodic storytelling that kept fans engaged and eager to spend money on the pay-per-view events to see the climactic battles. This combination of free network television and premium pay-per-view content created a powerful and profitable cycle that fueled the company's growth throughout the late 1980s and early 1990s. The stars of this era became household names. Beyond Hulk Hogan, there was the Macho Man Randy Savage, with his over-the-top personality and beautiful manager Miss Elizabeth. There was the colossal Andre the Giant, a true spectacle of nature. There were charismatic villains like the Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase and loudmouth talkers like Rowdy Roddy Piper. These characters were more than just wrestlers. They were a new kind of celebrity, marketed through action figures, lunchboxes, and cartoons. The WWF wasn't just in the wrestling business anymore. It was in the superstar business, creating larger-than-life icons for a national audience. Just as the WWF seemed to have conquered the wrestling world, a powerful new rival emerged. Media mogul Ted Turner, owner of the Turner Broadcasting System, purchased Jim Crockett Promotions in 1988 and renamed it World Championship Wrestling. With Turner's vast financial resources behind it, WCW aimed to compete directly with the WWF. In the mid-1990s, the Monday Night Wars began when WCW launched its flagship show, WCW Monday Nitro, to air at the same time as the WWF's Monday Night Raw. For several years, the two companies battled for ratings, talent, and fan loyalty in one of the most exciting periods in wrestling history. WCW gained a significant advantage by hiring away some of the WWF's biggest stars, including Hulk Hogan. In a shocking move, WCW turned Hogan into a villain for the first time in his career, making him the leader of the rebellious New World Order faction. This edgy, realistic storyline was a huge hit with fans, and for 83 consecutive weeks, Nitro beat Raw in the television ratings. The WWF was on the ropes. To fight back, Vince McMahon had to change his own product. He ushered in the Attitude Era, a grittier, more adult-oriented style of wrestling that pushed the boundaries of television. This era was defined by anti-hero superstars like Stone Cold Steve Austin and the charismatic faction D-Generation X. The tide of the war turned thanks to the incredible popularity of stars like Stone Cold Steve Austin, a beer-drinking Texan who constantly defied his boss, Mr. McMahon, and The Rock, whose charisma and catchphrases made him a global phenomenon. The Attitude Era was a massive success, and Raw began to reclaim its ratings dominance. WCW, meanwhile, suffered from creative missteps and financial mismanagement. The war officially ended in March 2001, when Vince McMahon stunned the world by purchasing his rival, WCW. The WWF was now the undisputed king of the wrestling industry, owning the video libraries and trademarks of nearly every major American wrestling promotion of the 20th century. Having won the war at home, the company, now renamed World Wrestling Entertainment, set its sights on the rest of the world. It expanded its international tours, signed talent from countries like Japan, Mexico, and the United Kingdom, and made its programming available globally through lucrative television and streaming deals. Today, WWE is a publicly traded multi-billion-dollar media company. Its flagship events like WrestleMania are held in massive stadiums around the globe, and its superstars are international celebrities. The journey from a small, regional promotion in the American Northeast to a global entertainment powerhouse is a testament to a bold vision, relentless ambition, and the enduring power of professional wrestling's unique brand of storytelling.